As a surgeon who's spent a lifetime treating seniors, I've seen countless pairs of eyes slowly lose their brilliance, not from fate, not from disease, but from something far more ordinary. The dinner plate. I'm not here to frighten you. I'm here to open your eyes, literally and figuratively. Because if you're past 60, it's time to look carefully at what's been sitting quietly on your plate for decades. Foods so familiar, so seemingly harmless, that you'd never suspect them of dimming your world one meal at a time. You might think it's age catching up. That squinting in sunlight, that momentary blur when reading a menu, or the soft fading of faces into silhouettes. They seem natural, inevitable. But often, what feels like time's slow hand is actually the unseen consequence of habit. What you eat day after day can quietly drain the light from your eyes. I've treated men and women who were the picture of health, strong walkers, sharp thinkers, disciplined souls. Yet slowly, the world around them dimmed. One man told me he could no longer read his morning paper, even with new glasses. His eyes were fine by every test. No disease, no clear cause, just a lifetime of trusting the wrong foods. You see, your eyes are not just windows to your soul. They are windows to your health. Every blink depends on a symphony of nutrients, tiny blood vessels, and microscopic nerves working in perfect harmony. But that harmony can be disrupted, not just by aging, but by the quiet chemistry of the foods you eat. The good news is, the damage can still be stopped. The body, especially the eyes, has a miraculous ability to repair, if given the right fuel and freed from the wrong one. So today, I'll show you 5 common vegetables that might be stealing your clarity, the very clarity that connects you to everything and everyone you love. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness and the power to protect your most human sense, sight. Imagine your vision as a photograph of your life. Every meal adds a brushstroke. Over the years, the wrong pigments. Too much of one mineral, too little of another. Excess sodium, or oxidized compounds, begin to distort that picture. Slowly, imperceptibly, the contrast fades. But when you understand the science behind that process, you can take back control. Throughout history, our ancestors didn't suffer these same rates of macular degeneration and retinal decay. Ancient diets, rich in unprocessed greens, wild fish, and mineral-balanced grains, provided natural protection. Their food was medicine, not manufactured or modified for convenience. Modern agriculture and storage methods have changed that story, quietly replacing balance with excess and vitality with decline. There's something deeply human about food. It's not just fuel. It's memory, emotion, identity. That's why change feels so hard. The foods you'll hear about today, kale, pickles, garlic, spinach, corn, they're not villains. They're familiar, comforting. But like trusted friends who've changed over time, they now demand a new kind of attention. Every vegetable has 2 sides, the gift and the cost. And when you understand both, you gain power over your health. The power to choose with clarity, not habit. So before we begin, take a deep breath and remember, this is not a story of restriction. It's a story of awakening, of seeing what's been hidden in plain sight. Because vision is more than just the ability to read a sign or recognize a face. It's how we perceive life itself. The colors of sunrise, the shimmer of tears in your grandchild's eyes, the way light filters through leaves on a late afternoon walk. Losing that, even gradually, is like losing touch with the poetry of being alive. But it's never too late to protect it. So let's start where so many well-intentioned health journeys begin, with a vegetable that's become a symbol of modern wellness, a leafy green that promises vitality, but, when misunderstood, may quietly betray your eyes. Let's talk about kale. Kale, the crowned jewel of modern nutrition. It's on magazine covers, in smoothie bars, and at the heart of countless superfood recipes. To many seniors, it's a badge of discipline, a symbol of doing things right. Fiber-rich, vitamin-packed, a promise of energy and longevity. But what if I told you this very icon of health, especially in its raw, untouched form, may be silently working against your eyes? Here's the paradox. Kale is both healer and thief. In its natural state, kale is loaded with oxalates, tiny organic compounds found in many plants. On the surface, oxalates seem harmless, but inside your body, they bind with minerals like calcium and zinc, forming insoluble crystals that your body can't easily absorb. These minerals aren't just nutrients, they are the raw materials your eyes depend on. Calcium keeps the microscopic structures of your retina stable. Zinc fuels the enzymes that maintain your macula, the part of your eye responsible for detailed, central vision. Without them, the eyes begin to tire. Light becomes harsh, focus falters, and a once clear world begins to blur. Over time, this nutrient blockade can create the perfect storm for vision fatigue and early degeneration. And for seniors, whose mineral absorption naturally declines with age, that risk multiplies. I've spoken with countless older adults who pride themselves on clean eating, no smoking, daily walks, green smoothies every morning. Yet they sit across from me, puzzled by worsening vision despite perfect habits. How could this be? They ask. I eat kale every day. That's the hidden irony. The very ritual they believed would save their health is slowly dimming their sight. But this isn't a condemnation of kale. It's a lesson in balance and biology. Nature designs foods with both gifts and guards. The oxalate is the plant's natural defense, not a flaw. Our ancestors learned to cook, steam, or ferment foods precisely to neutralize these compounds. In fact, lightly steaming kale breaks down much of its oxalate content, unlocking its nutrients rather than trapping them. Raw kale, however, especially when blended daily into smoothies, bypasses that ancient wisdom. In pursuit of purity, we've forgotten preparation, one of humanity's oldest sciences. Science supports this caution. Studies from institutions like Harvard and the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry have shown that excessive oxalate intake can impair mineral bioavailability, and in sensitive individuals, even led to kidney stones or mineral deficiency. But what most don't realize is that these same imbalances echo through the body's most delicate tissue, the retina. If your macula is the canvas of your vision, calcium and zinc are its pigments. Without them, the masterpiece begins to fade. The irony of kale is almost poetic. In its raw, unprocessed state, the very form hailed as pure, it hides its sharpest edges. But once cooked with a little care and heat, it becomes one of the most powerful protectors of sight, delivering lutein and zeaxanthin, antioxidants that act like internal sunglasses, shielding the retina from blue light and oxidative damage. The lesson here is deeper than food science. It's about humility. We live in an age obsessed with extremes, raw, pure, unfiltered. But the body doesn't thrive on extremes. It thrives on harmony. The wisdom of health isn't found in trends, but in balance, in understanding the delicate chemistry between what we eat and how we prepare it. So if you've been blending raw kale every morning, take this not as guilt, but as guidance. Steam it, sauté it, Let heat do what nature intended: soften, release, and transform. Cooking is not destruction. It's evolution. Because when even a superfood can become a subtle saboteur, it reminds us of something essential. Good health isn't about doing more, it's about doing wiser. And if kale, the world's most celebrated green, can carry such a hidden cost, imagine what other harmless favorites might be quietly compromising your sight. Let's turn now to something far more familiar. A comfort food that carries the warmth of nostalgia and the cold shadow of risk. Pickled vegetables. There's something almost sacred about the sound of a pickle jar opening. That gentle pop of the seal, the sharp scent of vinegar rising like a memory. For many of us, pickled vegetables are more than just food. They're nostalgia in a bite. The crisp snap of a pickle on a summer afternoon, the tang of pickled beets beside a Sunday roast, the glint of glass jars lining the shelves of our childhood kitchens. These are fragments of life, preserved in salt and time. But just like memory, preservation has a price. Behind that comforting tang lies a hidden threat, not to your taste buds, but to your eyes. Because every bite of those salty, briny delights carries with it a chemical burden your aging body may no longer bear so easily. Most pickled vegetables are soaked in heavy brine, delivering a surge of sodium with every serving. And sodium, while essential in small amounts, becomes corrosive in excess, particularly to the fragile network of microvessels that nourish your eyes. Your retina is one of the most metabolically active tissues in the human body. It demands a constant, balanced flow of blood and nutrients through a web of vessels thinner than a strand of hair. When your sodium levels spike, these capillaries experience microscopic strain, like overinflated pipes under too much pressure. Over the years, that pressure causes them to stiffen, weaken, or even leak, leading to a condition called hypertensive retinopathy. At first, it's invisible. No pain, no warning, just a gradual dimming. Colors less vivid, faces slightly hazier, text less sharp. Many seniors shrug it off as just getting older. But by the time you notice the change, the damage has already been written across your retinas, like faint cracks on glass. And sodium is only half the story. Many store-bought pickled products are fortified with preservatives, sulfites, and synthetic dyes designed to maintain color and shelf life, not your health. These chemicals, when consumed repeatedly, trigger low-grade inflammation and oxidative stress, two forces that accelerate not only eye damage, but cognitive decline. Inflammation doesn't announce itself loudly. It creeps in quietly, eroding clarity, of vision, of thought, of mood. Research from the American Journal of Hypertension and the National Eye Institute links chronic high-sodium diets not only to vision loss, but also to reduced blood flow to the brain, impairing memory and focus. In other words, that daily indulgence in pickled comfort can dull both sight and mind. I remember one of my patients, a retired teacher named Helen. Every day at lunch, she'd enjoy a small plate of homemade pickled cucumbers, a family recipe passed down for generations. "It reminds me of home," she'd say, smiling. When her vision began to blur, she blamed her age. But her blood pressure told a different story. Years of cumulative sodium slowly tightening its grip. When she learned that her cherished tradition was silently straining her eyes, she wept, not out of guilt, but realization. That's the bittersweet truth about health. Sometimes the things that preserve our memories can harm the body that carries them. Does this mean you must give up pickled vegetables forever? Absolutely not. The goal is awareness, not fear. Moderation, not deprivation. You can still enjoy that crisp, tangy bite, just with mindfulness. Choose low-sodium or naturally fermented varieties. Balance the salt with foods rich in potassium, avocados, bananas, spinach, which help counter sodium's vascular strain. And remember that hydration is the eye's best defense. Water restores equilibrium to the bloodstream and flushes away what your kidneys can't process on their own. Health, after all, isn't about denying joy, it's about sustaining it. Each food choice is a dialogue between memory and biology. When nostalgia tempts you to reach for that familiar jar, let knowledge whisper back, a gentle reminder that taste should never come at the expense of sight. Because your eyes are not just organs, they are storytellers. They hold the light of every face you've loved, every page you've read, every sunrise you've cherished. To protect them is to protect the very story of your life. And if something as simple and sentimental as a pickle can hide such risk, what about a food even more revered? One long hailed as a natural medicine, a heart healer, a symbol of vitality itself? The next culprit is as ancient as civilization, a seasoning found in every kitchen, worshipped for its healing powers, yet capable of quiet harm when taken too far. Garlic. For centuries, garlic has been hailed as nature's medicine, a sacred bulb woven into folklore, healing rituals, and even ancient military diets. The Egyptians fed it to their workers to build endurance for the pyramids. The Greeks called it the poor man's antibiotic, and even today it's praised as a heart protector, an immune booster, a natural miracle in a clove. But here's the paradox. The same compound that makes garlic powerful can also make it perilous, especially for aging eyes. Let's look beneath the legend. Garlic's strength comes from allicin, a sulfur-based compound released when the clove is crushed or chopped. Allicin is what gives garlic its pungent aroma and its potency. It improves circulation, lowers cholesterol, and helps thin the blood. For many, these are blessings. For seniors, however, this thinning effect can become a hidden threat. Here's why. As we age, the microscopic blood vessels in our eyes, particularly those in the retina, the region that captures light and fine detail, become more fragile. These vessels are like the threads in a delicate tapestry, vital, yet easily torn. When garlic is consumed in high doses, especially raw or as concentrated supplements, it amplifies blood-thinning effects. And when combined with medications like aspirin, Plevix, or warfarin, which many older adults take daily, that effect can go too far. The result? Tiny microscopic bleeds inside the retina. You might not feel them, but you'll see their echo. Flashes of light, floating specks, sudden blurs like fog rolling over your sight. In some cases, these retinal hemorrhages can cause lasting damage if not addressed quickly. I've met patients who came in frightened by these symptoms, convinced they were developing cataracts or age-related macular degeneration. When we traced their habits, one common thread appeared: daily raw garlic shots, sometimes mixed with honey or lemon, a ritual they'd picked up from the internet. "It keeps my blood clean," one man told me proudly. He didn't realize that in trying to purify his blood, he was also thinning it beyond balance. This is the tragic irony of health culture, the belief that more of a good thing must be better. But in biology, excess often becomes inversion. The medicine turns to poison, the cure to harm. Garlic is no exception. The truth is nuanced. A clove or two in your cooking. Wonderful. It enhances circulation, supports immunity, and even nourishes the eyes through mild antioxidant effects. But raw garlic shots, high-dose capsules, or daily supplementation without guidance, that's where the danger begins. You see, the human body thrives on homeostasis, balance. Blood that flows too sluggishly leads to clots. Blood that flows too freely leads to leaks. The retina, being one of the most vascular structures in the body, is the first to suffer when that balance is lost. Modern science supports what ancient physicians like Hippocrates already suspected. Even natural remedies must be dosed with wisdom. A 2016 study from the Journal of Ocular Pharmacology and Therapeutics found that excessive use of anticoagulant foods, including garlic, could exacerbate retinal bleeding in older adults already on blood-thinning medications. The message here isn't to fear garlic, it's to respect it. Treat it as the ancients did, as a tool, not a tonic. Nature designed garlic as both healer and teacher, a reminder that every medicine has two sides. And perhaps there's a deeper lesson hidden here. In our pursuit of perfect health, we often chase absolutes, the miracle food, the single cure, the one rule to follow. But the human body is a story of balance, not extremes. Even light itself can blind when too intense. So before you crush another raw clove in your morning tonic, pause and ask, is this nourishment or obsession? A small amount, cooked gently into your meals, will offer all the benefits your body needs. Beyond that, it's not courage, it's overreach. Because when it comes to health, more isn't always more. Sometimes enough is the miracle. And as we continue this journey through the hidden dangers on your plate, remember, not all threats are bold or bitter. Some are quiet, resting innocently in your fridge, waiting for a second day. The next one is green, familiar, and beloved by health enthusiasts everywhere. But under the surface, when left too long, it can become something far more harmful. Let's talk about spinach and the danger of yesterday's leftovers. Spinach, the very image of vitality, soft, green, and nourishing. For generations, it's been the symbol of strength and wholesomeness, from Popeye's cartoons to every parent insisting, "Eat your greens." For many seniors, spinach is a daily ritual, added to omelets, folded into soups, or blended into smoothies for an easy nutrient boost. And truly, spinach is a gift of nature. It's packed with iron, folate, vitamin K, and nitrates, compounds that improve blood flow and oxygen delivery throughout the body. But like so many gifts, it carries a hidden side, especially when it lingers. Cooked, stored overnight, and reheated the next day. Here's where the story turns. When spinach is freshly cooked, its nitrates are stable and beneficial. They help relax blood vessels, supporting circulation and even aiding vision by nourishing the retina. But once it cools and sits in the fridge, a quiet transformation begins. The harmless nitrates start to convert into nitrites, and upon reheating, those nitrites can form nitrosamines, unstable molecules that generate oxidative stress inside your body. Oxidative stress is the silent storm behind many age-related diseases, including vision loss. It damages the fragile walls of the retinal capillaries, increases inflammation, and accelerates the wear and tear that dims your eyesight over time. The process is invisible, almost poetic in its irony. What begins as nourishment through time and heat becomes corrosion. I once spoke with a patient, Margaret, 74 years old. She was meticulous about her health, walked daily, never smoked, and cooked her own meals. Every Monday, she'd make a large pan of sautéed spinach and store it for the week. "It saves time," she said proudly. But over the years, her vision began to cloud. She struggled to adjust from bright sunlight to dim rooms. Her doctor saw no disease, no macular degeneration, only mild oxidative damage. When we examined her diet, the culprit was there, sitting quietly in Tupperware. It's a simple oversight. We often associate freshness with flavor, not chemistry. But the truth is, time changes food, not just its texture or taste, but its molecular structure. Each passing hour invites oxidation, bacterial activity, and chemical shifts. What was medicine at noon can be toxin by dawn. Science backs this transformation. Studies published in the Journal of Food Protection and Food Chemistry confirm that nitrate-rich vegetables like spinach, when stored improperly or reheated, accumulate nitrites that increase oxidative damage and, in rare cases, can even affect red blood cell function. While a single reheated portion won't blind you, years of repetition, that harmless habit of eating leftovers, builds up a subtle, cumulative toll. And the eye, perhaps the most sensitive organ of all, feels that toll first. The psychology behind this is worth noting. Seniors, more than any generation, were raised to value thrift and gratitude, to waste nothing, to make meals last. That instinct is noble, but biology doesn't follow moral logic. What saves money can sometimes cost health. Protecting your body means learning when to let go, even of good food. So, what can you do instead? Enjoy your spinach fresh. Cook only what you'll eat. If you must store it, eat it cold rather than reheated, and within 24 hours. You'll still get the nutrients without the harmful chemical shift. Think of it this way. Your body is not a compost bin for leftovers. It's a living ecosystem that deserves fresh, clean energy every day. And there's something deeply symbolic in that truth. Spinach, when reheated, teaches us a quiet lesson about impermanence. Nothing remains the same with time. Not food, not cells, not even the light in our eyes. The art of health lies in honoring that impermanence, not resisting it. So, the next time you open your fridge and see yesterday's greens waiting, remember, sometimes letting go is the healthiest thing you can do. Because if something as simple as spinach can change its nature overnight, what about other everyday foods, cheerful, colorful, and seemingly harmless, that may be quietly eroding your vision? The next culprit sits innocently in pantries across the world, glowing with golden sweetness. But beneath its sunny exterior lies a quiet erosion, one that's stealing your sight, spoonful by spoonful. Let's open the can, literally on canned corn and the hidden cost of convenience. There's a certain comfort to canned corn. That golden glow, the sweet pop of kernels against your tongue, the familiar taste of family's dinners and holiday casseroles. For many seniors, it's more than just a side dish. It's a small reminder of home, of simplicity, of a time when meals were made to nourish and bring people together. But behind that sunny color lies a quiet deception. The same convenience that makes canned corn so beloved is what robs it of the very nutrients your eyes desperately need to stay sharp and alive. Here's the truth most don't see. While fresh and frozen corn retain their natural nutrients, the canning process, involving high heat and long preservation cycles, strips away two of the eye's most essential protectors, lutein and zeaxanthin. These aren't just fancy names from a supplement label. Lutein and zeaxanthin are pigments that act like internal sunglasses, shielding your retina from the relentless bombardment of blue light and oxidative stress. They absorb excess light energy and neutralize free radicals before those unstable molecules can damage the photoreceptor cells that allow you to see. Without these nutrients, the macula, the tiny central region of the retina responsible for clear, detailed vision, becomes exposed and vulnerable. Over time, this leads to a slow but irreversible process. Age-related macular degeneration, one of the most common causes of vision loss among older adults. Now, here's where it becomes even more insidious. Many canned corn varieties are not just stripped of nutrients, They're reinforced with salt and sugar to enhance flavor and shelf life. The extra sodium increases intraocular pressure, putting stress on the optic nerve, the bridge between your eye and your brain. The added sugars, meanwhile, feed chronic inflammation, accelerating the very oxidative damage your eyes are already fighting. So, in that one small can, that innocent splash of gold on your plate, you have the perfect storm: nutrient depletion, sodium overload, and hidden sugar spikes. I've had patients laugh it off. "It's just corn," they say. "I've been eating it my whole life." And they're right. That's what makes it so dangerous. The most harmful habits are rarely the dramatic ones. They're the ones we never question. The tiny, daily repetitions that slowly rewire our biology until one day, what once was clear turns to haze. Science, again, tells the story in data. Research published in Nutrients and the Journal of Ophthalmology confirms that low intake of lutein and zeaxanthin is directly linked to increased macular vulnerability. Meanwhile, excess dietary sodium and added sugars are correlated with higher rates of optic nerve damage and diabetic retinopathy, even in individuals without diabetes. It's the modern paradox of food. We have abundance, yet our cells starve. But the solution is beautifully simple. Replace that can with a bag of frozen corn or, better yet, fresh ears of corn when they're in season. These retain their natural pigments, minerals, and fiber. The difference isn't just chemical, it's biological. Within weeks, your eyes can begin to regain vitality as antioxidant levels rise and vascular inflammation calms. Every meal becomes a small act of restoration, a step back toward clarity. There's also something deeply symbolic in corn's story. Once, it was sacred. To the ancient Mayans and Aztecs, corn wasn't just food, it was life itself. They believed humans were formed from corn dough, that light, spirit, and sustenance were born from the same golden seed. But in our modern world, we've taken that symbol of vitality and processed it into something hollow. What once fed the spirit now fills the shelves. It's a reminder that convenience often comes at the cost of connection, to the earth, to our food, to our bodies. So when you reach for that can next time, pause. Listen. Your body is always whispering the truth. It knows what's real, what's alive, what still carries the pulse of the soil. Choose foods that still breathe life, because your eyes, your heart, your very being depend on that aliveness. And now that we've seen the 5 vegetables that can quietly cloud your vision, it's time to turn toward hope, toward the foods that heal. The vegetables that don't just fill your plate, but ignite your sight. Let's step into the light and explore the colors that restore clarity, vitality, and longevity to your vision and your life. After hearing about the vegetables that may silently dim your vision, it's natural to wonder, what can I eat instead? What nourishes, protects, and restores? What brings light back to the eyes, clarity back to the world, and focus back to the moments that matter most? The truth is both comforting and empowering. The foods that heal you aren't exotic or hidden in expensive powders. They're humble, familiar, and close to home, found not in pills or promises, but in your garden, your local market, and your kitchen. Let's begin with a timeless ally: carrots. They've earned their reputation honestly. Rich in beta-carotene, a pigment your body converts into vitamin A, carrots provide one of the key nutrients your retina needs to capture light and send it to your brain. Without vitamin A, the photoreceptors, the tiny light-sensitive cells at the back of your eyes, weaken. You start to struggle with night vision, transitioning from bright sunlight into dim rooms, or adjusting to headlights while driving. But here's the fascinating part. Beta-carotene doesn't just support your eyes. It reflects a philosophy of health itself. Nature gives it to us in brilliant orange, a color of warmth and vitality. In eating it, we don't just feed our cells, we absorb that very essence of light. Next comes the red bell pepper, often overshadowed by greens, but arguably one of the most potent sources of vitamin C, a powerful antioxidant that fortifies the tiny capillaries inside your eyes. These vessels are the lifelines that nourish your retina, and vitamin C keeps them resilient, flexible, and oxygen-rich. Studies from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition show that people with higher vitamin C intake have a significantly lower risk of developing cataracts and retinal degeneration. And then there's kale. Yes, the very same vegetable we cautioned against earlier, but this time it's transformed. When cooked gently, steamed, sautéed, or softened by heat, kale becomes one of the most powerful protectors of vision on the planet. It's packed with lutein and zeaxanthin, the same compounds lost in canned corn, but preserved beautifully in this leafy green when treated with care. These antioxidants act like a shield, filtering out harmful blue light and neutralizing the free radicals that attack your retina every day, from sunlight, screens, and pollution. Cooking kale breaks down its oxalates, freeing those nutrients to nourish rather than deplete you. It's a beautiful metaphor, really. Transformation through softness, strength through surrender. Heat doesn't destroy, it refines. And we can't forget the humble tomato. Bright, juicy, and full of life, it's loaded with lycopene, an antioxidant that gives it its red hue. Lycopene protects not just your eyes, but your heart and brain, fighting oxidative stress throughout your circulatory system. It becomes even more potent when cooked, in soups, sauces, or stews, because heat releases the lycopene from the tomato's cellular walls, making it more bioavailable. When you combine these foods, carrots, bell peppers, cooked kale, tomatoes, something remarkable happens. They don't just feed your body, they speak to each other in nutrients, balancing your chemistry the way nature intended. Together, they form a nutritional orchestra that restores clarity to your vision, stability to your blood vessels, and energy to your mind. And if there's a deeper message in all this, it's that food is never just physical. It's emotional, spiritual, even moral. Every bite is a choice between creation and corrosion. You have the power to either blur or brighten the lens through which you experience life. You see, the eye is not a passive observer. It's an extension of the soul. It reflects not just what you look at, but how you live. When you nourish it, you nourish your awareness, your capacity to see beauty, gratitude, and connection in everyday things. There's a poetic truth here. Clarity of vision begins with clarity of intention. When you choose foods that heal, that are alive, colorful, and whole, you don't just preserve your eyesight. You preserve your insight. You reclaim the ability to notice the gentle wrinkles of a loved one's smile, the glow of sunset through a window, the details that make life intimate and meaningful. And it doesn't require perfection, just intention. Swap that can of corn for a handful of leafy greens. Steam instead of microwave. Cook fresh rather than reheat. Small acts, repeated daily, will do more for your eyes than any miracle supplement ever could. Because nature doesn't rush healing, it rewards consistency. And as your body begins to rebuild from the inside, as inflammation quiets and circulation flows freely again, you'll begin to notice more than clearer sight. You'll feel lighter, calmer, more awake. That's the beauty of true nourishment. It heals more than the organ. It heals the person. But there's one more truth to uncover, one that lies beyond food. Because vision, in its deepest sense, isn't just about light hitting the retina. It's about how we see life itself. Let's close with a reflection, not on what's on your plate, but what's before your eyes. Vision is not merely the act of seeing. It is the art of perceiving. The gentle balance between light and understanding, between what enters your eyes and what your soul chooses to notice. When people talk about losing sight, they often mean more than vision. They mean losing the vividness of life, the sparkle of a sunrise, the subtle shades of laughter, the way love looks back at you through someone else's eyes. Protecting your sight, therefore, isn't just about preserving a function. It's about protecting your connection to being alive. Every day, our eyes translate photons, particles of light that have traveled millions of miles from the sun, into meaning. They transform energy into experience, brightness into memory. In a way, your eyes are constantly painting reality. But what happens when the canvas begins to fade? Not from age, but from neglect, from choices made in ignorance or habit. That's what this journey has been about, awareness. We've uncovered the quiet dangers hiding in everyday vegetables, raw kale's oxalates that steal essential minerals, the sodium in pickled foods straining fragile capillaries, garlic's potent thinning effect taken too far, spinach's subtle chemical change when reheated, and canned corn's nutrient void masked in sweetness. Each of these stories isn't just about food. It's about how easily intention can be misplaced, how even the pursuit of health can drift off balance when stripped of understanding. Yet the deeper message is one of redemption, because your body is forgiving. Your cells are not fixed in failure. They are always listening, always rebuilding, always hoping you'll give them what they need to thrive. The retina, even after years of oxidative stress, can regain resilience when nourished properly. The blood vessels can soften, the inflammation can quiet, and the fog can lift. Not instantly, but inevitably if you choose consistency over convenience. In this way, food becomes philosophy. Each meal a meditation, each choice a gesture of gratitude toward the life you still have the power to shape. Think of your plate as a palette. The orange of carrots, the green of kale, the red of tomatoes, the golden hue of peppers. Nature painted these colors not for decoration, but as signals, guiding you back to balance, reminding you that the answers to vitality are already encoded in the world around you. Science, in its deepest form, is simply the rediscovery of nature's wisdom. And when biology meets awareness, healing begins. But let's step beyond the science for a moment, into something more human. When your vision sharpens, even slightly, notice what returns first. It won't just be sharper lines or clearer text. It will be the world's details, the shimmer on water, the quiet expression on a loved one's face, the sunlight spilling through curtains. These moments, though small, are the very currency of joy. That's why protecting your vision is not vanity. It's reverence. It's choosing to stay present with the world that's still unfolding before you. And here's the most profound truth of all. Clarity isn't only a condition of the eyes. It's a condition of the mind. When you nourish your body, when you eat in awareness, when you care for yourself not out of fear but respect, you begin to see differently, not just externally, but inwardly. Because vision, true vision, is a harmony between biology and spirit, between what your eyes take in and what your heart understands. So as you stand in your kitchen tomorrow morning, remember, every choice you make is a vote for the kind of future you'll see. Steam the kale. Skip the pickles. Cook what's fresh, not what's old. Choose the foods that glow with color, not those that come from a can. Protecting your eyes is more than preserving sight. It's preserving presence. It's ensuring that the light of this world continues to reach you in all its beauty every single day. Because when we protect our vision, we protect our ability to witness love, wonder, and life itself. And that is worth seeing clearly.